Okay, so the modeling process can be also done in Marvelous Design as you'd expect. Essentially, the modeling process is creation of an object that would fit the base mesh. So in the modeling phase with Blender, we made a shed so we can make something similar. Generally, it's a quicker process in Marvelous Designer. So let's start. let's start with um, creating a pattern. So we can come and use the polygon tool. You can use the polygon tool and just draw something similar to what we made in Blender. So sorry. Sorry. Hold on. Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So uh, we can equally mirror our products. So let's stop the length about here. This should be fine. Yeah, this was what ours looked like in Blender. So continue in this length and then add the sleeves. I don't know if I to add the sleeves now. I don't think. Oh, let's add the sleeve. Yeah, bend. Yeah, yeah. So Marvelous Designer kind of predicts special angles, kind of. So I don't know if you will do that here as well. Okay, so let's just try and guess the special angle here and then link it back here. So we've created our first polygon. So we can come to this line. Hold on. And then we can unfold symmetric editing with sewing. And essentially we have a pattern, so we can just select just this point and bring it down. And that's roughly a pattern. Then we can come, so copy again and mirror paste. I think the mirror paste is the appropriate option. Where is our mirror pasted object now? Okay. Sure. Let's move this one forward so we can see which one is this exactly. Okay, so this is the mirror pasted option. And it's already aligned for us, so we just need to move it back. And then we can flip the normals. Okay, and then we continue. So that is essentially our pattern. So now it's time for creating the seams. Let's just move this in a bit. So to create the seams, you can create the seams here or in the 3D panel. But before we create the seams, we have to remesh, because this is triangles, and triangles generally Triangles generally are not good. I'll just leave it that way. So remesh this, check remesh, bring down the particle distance. Where's particle distance? So the particle distance is basically the size of the square. So a higher particle distance, bigger square is lower particle distance. So let's half this by like 10. Same thing here. Remesh, and then remesh, and then we need to sew now. So this I pressed N to bring up what's called the segment sewing. So just sew the parts that we need to be sewn together. And then now we've sewed we've sewn our object together. So it's now time for rendering. So you can turn N off. Or you can just bring the select and move option back on. Do we need to move this closer? I don't think so. Maybe reduce the particle distance again. This is just a shade, so we're not so afraid of the number of the poly count. So let's try and see what this one looks like. Let's just go ahead. Okay, didn't do a bad job, but I didn't do a great job either. I don't know what happened. I'm not sure what happened, but it has sewn, but I'm not sure what's going on with these sleeves. I think maybe we should have done them later. Is there a way we can undo the sewing? Yes, we can. Oh, okay, see. You see the sleeves, they didn't sew well. Yes, edit sewing should be it. Okay, so that's solved it. So we can come back to, so we can press N again, and then this time it's right. So let's come back and press this. That's our shirt. Basically a more refined version of what we did in Blender, achieved in seconds. If you're quick enough, you can do this in less than a minute. So we select our object, and simply all we do is we export it as an OBJ. I think OBJ selected would be the better option. There's also the FBX option, but let's use OBJ. So shirt2 md dot obj. Select all patterns, multiple objects. You don't need any of the maps here. You can make them in Blender, or if you want the maps from Marvelous Designer, go ahead, save texture files with zip. So leave the objects like this, the settings like that. Let's do this again. Export OBJ selected. Let's replace that file. Yes, we want to replace it. And our settings as, let's import the object back. Yes, same object. Scale it down. Okay, and the back should be part now. Yes, the back is part. So the back is part now. We can rename this to we can remove .001 and then remove the material. Again, come to UV editing and clear your sharps. Clear sharps. Then the objects are by default separated, so we'd have to do a merge by distance so that they would act as one object. But before we do merge by distance, let's preserve the UV map. So remember to check constrain image to bounds. So scale to fit the bounding box as best as possible. Then again with the back. So since they are essentially two separate objects, vertex select mode and L, you should select each separate face. So just scale it up, 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 scale it up. That should be fine. That should be fine. Okay, so we can select the islands. An island is essentially every standalone pattern. So look here, this place is called UV select mode island. So if I come here, I've selected an island, so just wanted to make sure that's clear. By distance, so we removed 94 vertices, and now everything is being selected as one object. So let's see if scenes from islands would work now. And it's working, and it's working, and it's working. So we just have two materials to create. We can do all of this in editing mode, but let's go to shading. No, okay, let's assign the materials first. Yes. Okay. MD shirt 1 20 DS and MD shirt 221 DS, MD shirt 221 DS. Again, select the back and assign to shirt 2. And now we have our material, so let's set up the nodes appropriately. Again, you can verify. Okay, everything is fine. So just undo. Alright, so we need an image. Shift A, S, image texture, new, MD shirt 1, the same 256 by 512, and then Shift A, S, image texture, MD shirt 2. So we have our materials and we have the destinations for baking. I believe we should be able to bake, so ensure that the camera is only on for this one. Ensure nothing else other than the lights have the camera. And then you can bring down your margin to like 8 or whatever number you choose and bake. So let's preview it. We can we can do this in solid flat texture so you can see. And that's our object, so let's rig it. So we first transfer the weights. Come to weight paint mode, transfer the weights, nearest face interpolated by name. So this one we have to actually smooth because the topology is lower. We have to smooth. Okay, no, let's parent it first. Let's parent it to this object. Control P with empty groups. So we have to see. Let's like change the viewport display so we can know what's going on, whether there's excess clipping. Put this one on blue. Okay, so there are also poses in the Studio Devkit. It's not bad. Okay, so mic stopped working at this point, but basically what we're doing is we're testing for the for clipping issues, glitches and all of that in the shirt. So we're just dragging the timeline around, checking whether our weight transfer was done well. So we're still checking for the poses here. So I'm using the poses that came with the kit, but you can alter the skeleton to your choice to check for specific areas, for glitch issues. So now what we want to do is we first limit the bones. Well, you see we had an error. So this error came up because we had more than one object in the clothing export collection. That's why I believe this error came up. So you have to delete the other object. Yes, so delete. And now you can limit the bones and export. So give it time to export, it will export. Okay, it has exported now. So we're in the studio now. Let's import the FBX. So remember that it saves the FBX with the name of your Blender scene. If you had a former FBX there with the same name, you will override it. So we're selecting 44 since this is a top object. Materials, so we check for our materials. I had to remove the DS. Name because it was having issues importing it, but ideally the DS should work. And review and import So this is our object. Since the DS tag wasn't working, I had to import it manually. So we'll just add the MCG opacity map for it. And basically what was left now is to set the remaining materials to double-sided for a fuller effect. And we're done. So that's the marvelous designer process to IMVU Studio in a nutshell with this Devkit. Thank you.